All right, so today we're going to be diving into the world of counterfeit goods.
Oh, yeah.
And, you might think that it's just a few fake handbags here and there, but trust me, this goes way deeper.
It absolutely does.
Than you might think.
Way deeper.
So we've got a really fascinating documentary here to help us unpack all this Operation Stranglehold from the YouTube channel Witness.
Right.
And it really exposes the sheer scale of this global problem and all the dangers that are involved.
Absolutely. And the risks. Definitely the risks.
So what really stood out to you from this documentary?
Well, I think the first thing is just the scope of it all. I mean, it's pretty mind-blowing. The documentary starts by showing this massive international customs operation.
Yeah.
They blocked 6 major African ports to monitor all the containers coming in.
Okay.
Over 5 days, they seized 1.2 million counterfeit goods.
1.2 million.
And get this, 8 out of 10 containers were holding fakes.
That's insane.
That's a crazy amount of counterfeit stuff.
Yeah, in just a few ports.
In such a short time.
Yeah.
It really makes you wonder what's going on in the rest of the world.
Right. And it wasn't just, luxury knockoffs.
Right.
I mean, they were finding everyday products too.
Oh, absolutely. Everyday things.
Like what?
Well, they found everything. I mean, from fake mayonnaise to batteries, car parts.
Fake mayonnaise.
Name it. They probably found a fake version of it.
That's crazy.
Oh, and even medicine, which is really scary.
Yeah. The stakes are getting a lot higher.
For sure. And just imagine that mayonnaise was sitting out in 60-degree heat for days at the port.
Not good.
Not good at all.
No.
I mean, that's not just about brands losing profits. That's a public health issue.
Absolutely.
It really makes you think about what else is out there.
Right. So we're seeing the scale of the problem.
Right.
But the documentary doesn't just stop there, does it?
No, it doesn't.
It follows the trail.
It does.
Back to the source. Where do we end up?
Well, that trail leads us to Hong Kong, a major global trade hub.
Okay.
And unfortunately, a big player in the counterfeit market.
Makes sense.
And we're introduced to this fascinating guy, Ted Kavor.
Okay.
He's a former New York policeman turned counterfeit hunter.
Wow.
And he's investigating these fake phone batteries
that
have been linked to injuries and even deaths.
So there are people whose job it is to hunt down counterfeiters.
It's a real thing.
That's incredible.
And it's intense work.
I bet.
I mean, Ted Kavor, he's like a real-life Sherlock Holmes. He uses disguises, hidden cameras, even fake IDs to infiltrate these networks.
That's wild.
It's a dangerous game for sure.
So where does Ted's investigation take him?
Well, it leads him to Shenzhen, China.
Okay.
Often called the Silicon Valley of China.
Right. Huge electronics industry.
Exactly. Massive.
Yeah.
But as the documentary shows, there's a dark side to this tech boom.
What do they find in Shenzhen?
Well, there's this sprawling shopping center that's entirely dedicated to counterfeit electronics.
Wow.
I mean, I'm not just talking about phones. They found stands selling fake phone batteries, chargers, you name it.
So they have everything you need to basically make a fake phone.
Exactly. Even the packaging to make it look legit.
Wow.
It's like a full-blown industry.
That's crazy.
Oh, and get this. They even have fake safety certificates and holograms.
So basically, it's impossible to tell what's real and what's fake.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's unsettling.
Yeah, and they show you how easy it is to buy sheets of labels.
Oh, wow.
For like every major phone brand.
So you could just create hundreds of official products.
Right there on the spot. It's a well-oiled machine.
It's wild.
Designed to deceive.
Yeah.
And they're good at it.
Well, they didn't just observe this market, did they?
No, they didn't.
They went deeper.
They did.
What did they do?
They went undercover, posing as buyers.
Wow.
To get access to a counterfeit battery factory.
Okay. And what was that like?
It was pretty grim, to be honest. The factory was run down, conditions were poor, and it was clear that safety wasn't a priority.
Yeah.
Most of the workers were migrants, possibly even underage teenagers.
Oh, wow.
Just assembling these batteries by hand.
It's a whole different world.
It is.
Yeah.
And the factory director even admitted that some of the batteries are made without crucial safety features.
So they're literally ticking time bombs.
Exactly. It's really dangerous.
That's terrifying. It really highlights the danger.
Right.
But did they actually test these batteries?
They did. They took the counterfeit batteries to a lab in France.
Okay.
And they put them through some rigorous testing.
Right.
First, they did an X-ray analysis, and it confirmed that some of the batteries were missing key safety components.
So they knew there were problems from the start.
Yeah, right away.
Wow.
Then they did an overcharging test, pushing the batteries to their limits. Well, some of them shut down safely.
Okay.
But one overheated, deformed, and then it exploded.
Exploded.
It did. It was pretty dramatic.
Oh, man.
It really shows the risks involved.
Yeah. Buying a cheap battery could have some serious consequences.
Absolutely.
But the counterfeit trade, I mean, it goes beyond these back alley factories, right?
Right. It's a much bigger system.
How do these things get into the global market?
Well, it's not just through shady online marketplaces.
Okay.
The documentary introduces us to Daniel Plain.
Oh.
He's a former anti-counterfeiting expert for Nokia.
Okay.
And he shows how easy it is for fake batteries to end up in official shops.
Oh, wow.
Being sold as genuine.
So you can't even trust the official stores?
It's hard to know who to trust.
Yeah, it's a really complex problem.
It is.
But it is pretty clever of those counterfeiters.
Oh, yeah.
To charge high prices.
Because then people think, oh, it must be real.
Exactly.
It's all about deception.
So you really can't judge a product by its price log.
Definitely not.
It's a scary thought.
It is.
But as shocking as this electronics market is,
right.
This documentary takes a turn.
It does.
And looks at fake food and drinks.
And that's where it gets really unsettling.
Yeah, I agree. That's where it hit home for me. We meet Philip Van Oot. He's a French counterfeit hunter.
Yeah, I know Philip.
Who specializes in infiltrating these networks.
He's good at what he does.
And he goes to this Canton trade fair in China.
Huge trade fair.
Yeah, massive.
Showcasing Chinese products to the world.
And he finds counterfeit Red Bull being sold openly.
Just out in the open.
Yeah, wow.
Like it's no big deal.
And I remember those reports of fake Red Bull cans corroding in France.
You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was all over the news.
They suspected either faulty packaging,
right,
or that the ingredients themselves were so corrosive.
I mean, imagine that.
It's insane.
The drink itself eating through the can.
It makes you wonder what was really in those cans.
Exactly. It's scary.
That's like a horror movie.
It kind of is.
And then it gets even darker when you think about fake medicine.
Oh, yeah, that's a whole other level.
It's not just a harmless knockoff anymore.
Absolutely not.
The World Health Organization estimates that 1 in 10 medicines worldwide is counterfeit.
1 in 10. Think about that.
That's a staggering number.
It's terrifying.
And the documentary focuses on Cambodia with Dr. Beat Richner.
Incredible man.
He's a Swiss pediatrician who's been battling counterfeit medicine for over 20 years.
A true hero.
He paints such a heartbreaking picture of the impact of these fake drugs on children.
Especially those with malaria and other life-threatening illnesses.
And this isn't just a problem in developing countries.
Right. It's everywhere.
Because the internet has made it so easy to buy counterfeit medicine.
Anywhere in the world.
They actually take us inside a postal sorting office at customs in France.
Oh, wow.
Where they're trying to find packages containing fake medicine.
It's a constant battle.
They're trying to stay one step ahead
of these counterfeiters who are getting more and more sophisticated.
Yeah, it's clear that buying medicine online from unregulated sources is incredibly risky.
It's playing with fire, really.
But the documentary doesn't stop there.
No, it goes even further.
It looks at counterfeit Viagra.
One of the most counterfeited medicines out there.
They take us to Pfizer's lab in England.
Really interesting.
With chemist Wendy Greenall.
She's brilliant.
And they're analyzing counterfeit Viagra that was seized by French customs.
They use these sophisticated techniques, like spectrometry, to analyze the chemical composition and compare it to the real formula.
So what did they find?
Well, the packaging was incredibly well copied.
Oh, wow.
But the counterfeit Viagra was a different color.
Okay.
And it had a completely different formula than the genuine product.
Oh, that's alarming.
I mean, people taking those pills had no idea.
Right. What they were putting into their bodies.
Scary stuff.
So we've got fake food, fake medicine.
Right.
And then the documentary takes us into the world of fake car parts.
This is where it gets really dangerous.
Yeah, Philip Van Oot, the French investigator.
Yeah, he's back.
He's back on the case.
He's relentless.
This time, he's in Beijing.
Okay.
Investigating fake car parts.
A huge market.
He finds a network selling counterfeit brake pads and packaging that's identical to the real ones.
It's scary how good they are at copying.
His informants tell him that these fakes are made with inferior materials.
Which could lead to brake failure.
Oh, man.
A recipe for disaster.
Yeah, they even took the counterfeit brake pads to an official Peugeot outlet in Beijing.
No way.
And even the staff there couldn't tell the difference.
I can't believe it.
So even if you think you're buying from a reputable source,
you could still be getting ripped off.
You could be getting a fake.
And putting yourself at risk.
It's pretty clear that this problem is much bigger and more widespread than most people realize.
It really is. It's a hidden epidemic.
And it's pretty insidious, too.
It is.
So before we move on, let's just kind of recap.
Okay.
What are the key takeaways from this first part of our deep dive?
Well, I think it's clear that counterfeiting is a global problem that affects almost every industry you can think of.
It really does touch everything.
It's not just about brands losing money.
Right.
It's about public safety, public health.
Yeah. The stakes are high.
And it erodes trust in legitimate markets.
Absolutely. It's a huge problem with serious consequences.
And it's only getting worse.
So what can we do about it?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is, and one that we'll be exploring in the next part of our deep dive.
I can't wait.
Me neither.
It's going to be fascinating.
I think so, too.
So stay tuned. Yeah, it really makes you think about, like the bigger picture of this whole thing.
Yeah.
It goes beyond just, faulty products or lost revenue.
Right. They brought up organized crime and even terrorism.
Right. Counterfeiting is like this massive global criminal enterprise worth billions of dollars. And those profits can easily be funneled into other illegal activities like funding terrorist groups.
Wow.
It's a dangerous cycle that fuels instability and just undermines the rule of law.
Yeah, it's unsettling to think that something as simple as buying a fake handbag could be contributing to these much larger problems.
It really is. It makes you stop and think about the impact of our choices as consumers.
Yeah, beyond just the kind of individual level.
Exactly.
We talked about the physical dangers, exploding batteries and faulty brake pads.
Yeah.
But there's a bigger picture here, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely. When you buy a counterfeit, you're not just getting a potentially inferior or dangerous product, but you're also supporting these criminal networks and undermining legitimate businesses.
Right.
Those businesses and people contribute to the economy, pay taxes. Counterfeiting erodes that entire system.
It's like a ripple effect.
It is.
Impacting not just the brand being copied, but the whole economy.
The whole system.
It makes you wonder, what can we do about this? Is there any way to fight back against something so massive?
That's the question, isn't it? And the documentary explores a few strategies that are being implemented.
Okay.
One approach is increasing enforcement and cracking down on these counterfeiters through operations like Operation Stranglehold, disrupting their supply chains and seizing their goods, but it's a constant battle.
It feels like you're always playing catch up.
Exactly. As soon as you shut down one operation, another one pops up somewhere else.
Yeah.
That's why enforcement alone isn't enough.
Okay.
We also need to raise awareness among consumers.
Right.
Many people just don't realize the risks involved or the broader consequences of buying counterfeit goods.
I think some people just think of it as a victimless crime.
Yeah, like they get a cheap knockoff and no one really gets hurt.
Right.
But this documentary clearly shows that that's not the case.
Not at all.
It's about understanding that those bargain buys come with hidden costs.
Right.
And those costs can be a lot higher than just a few dollars saved.
Okay, so stricter enforcement, more awareness. What else? I think they talked about collaboration, right?
Yes, collaboration is key. We need a multi-pronged approach involving governments, law enforcement agencies, businesses, and even consumers.
It sounds like everyone has a role to play.
Exactly. Governments can strengthen laws and regulations.
Okay.
Businesses can develop better anti-counterfeiting technologies and share intelligence about counterfeiters. And consumers can be more vigilant and report suspicious products.
Right.
It's about working together to create a system that makes it more difficult for these counterfeiters to operate.
Right. So we need to create a united front.
Precisely. And, the documentary showcased how effective international collaboration was during Operation Stranglehold.
Yeah.
Imagine what we could achieve if that level of cooperation was applied globally.
That's a pretty inspiring thought, but it also feels a little daunting.
It is a challenge for sure, especially considering how sophisticated these counterfeiters are.
Yeah, but the more we understand about how they operate, the better equipped we are to fight back.
Exactly. And the documentary does provide some valuable insights into their tactics.
Like what?
Well, remember that scene in Shenzhen with the endless stalls of counterfeit electronics? It really highlights how brazen these operations have become.
Yeah, it's almost like they're not even trying to hide.
It's almost like they're operating with impunity.
Yeah, and it makes you realize how pervasive this problem really is.
It does.
It's not something we can just ignore or dismiss.
It's a real threat to our safety, our economy, even our security.
So how do we translate all of this understanding into action? What can we as individuals do to make a difference?
That's a great question, and it's one that we'll be exploring in the final part of our deep dive.
Okay.
We'll look at some practical tips for spotting counterfeit goods,
Okay.
as well as ways to report suspicious activity and support organizations that are dedicated to combating this global problem.
I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.
Yeah.
This has been really eye-opening so far. It really makes you think twice about every purchase you make.
It really does. Every choice we make as consumers has consequences.
It all connects.
To Sam. It does. So as we head into the final part of our deep dive, let's shift gears from understanding the problem to exploring solutions.
Okay.
What are the practical steps we can take to protect ourselves and make a difference in this fight against counterfeiting? All right. So we've spent the last two parts really digging into this world of counterfeiting.
Yeah.
The scale, the dangers, how it all ties into, these bigger issues. Honestly, it's a little overwhelming.
It can be.
But now let's flip the script and talk about solutions.
Right.
What can we as consumers do to actually protect ourselves and fight back against this?
That's a great question. And yeah, it can feel daunting.
Yeah.
But there are definitely steps you can take.
Okay.
To be a more informed and just more vigilant consumer. A lot of it boils down to trusting your instincts.
Okay.
And paying attention.
Okay, so give me the cheat sheet.
Okay.
When I'm shopping online or even in a store, what are the red flags? What should I be looking for?
Well, first and foremost, if a deal seems too good to be true, it probably is.
Right.
That old adage, it still holds up.
It does.
Especially when it comes to counterfeits.
Okay, so beyond that,
really scrutinize the packaging and the labeling.
Okay.
Counterfeiters, they often make subtle mistakes.
Okay.
Typos, blurry logos, inconsistencies in fonts or colors. It's almost like a game of spot the difference.
Right.
But the stakes are a lot higher.
Yeah, they are.
Than just bragging rights.
Okay, so channeling my inner detective.
Exactly.
What about security features?
Oh, yeah. Good point.
Are there things I should be looking for beyond just the packaging itself?
Absolutely. You want to check for things like holograms, serial numbers, tamper-proof seals.
Right.
And see if those match up with what you'd expect from the genuine product.
Okay.
And you can usually find information about specific security features on the brand's website. So do a little research beforehand.
Makes sense.
Especially if you're unsure.
And you mentioned online shopping being particularly tricky.
Yeah, it's a minefield out there.
Any advice for navigating that world safely?
When shopping online, stick to reputable websites and sellers.
Okay.
Look for secure websites that have that HTTPS in the URL, in the little padlock icon.
Right.
Read reviews from other buyers, and just look for any red flags or mentions of counterfeit products. Be wary of sellers who offer prices significantly lower than average.
Right.
That's usually a big red flag.
Makes sense.
That's how they lure you in.
Okay, so let's say, despite my best efforts, I think I've bought a counterfeit. What should I do?
If you think you've bought a counterfeit, stop using it immediately. Especially if it's something like medicine or electronics.
Right, and it could be dangerous.
Exactly, and then report it.
Okay.
It might feel like a small thing, but each report helps build a case against these counterfeiters.
Okay, so report it to who?
That's a good question. It depends on the product and where you bought it. You can usually report it to the brand owner directly. The online marketplace where you made the purchase. Or your local consumer protection agency.
Right.
They'll have systems in place for investigating these things.
So we can all do our part by taking those steps.
Exactly.
But are there other ways we can contribute to this fight?
Absolutely. You can support organizations dedicated to combating counterfeiting.
Okay.
Many of them rely on donations and volunteers to continue their work. And even spreading awareness among your friends and family.
Yeah.
Sharing what you've learned from this deep dive can have a ripple effect.
Right.
The more informed people are, the less likely they are to fall victim to these scams.
It's about empowering each other.
Exactly.
It's not just about being a savvy shopper, but creating a culture where counterfeiting is not tolerated.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's about taking a stand.
And this deep dive has shown us that this isn't some far-off problem.
Right.
It's happening all around us.
It is.
You know, one thing that keeps coming back to me is the sheer scale of this.
Yeah.
It's like a parallel economy operating right under our noses.
It really is. And that's what makes these investigations, these documentaries like Operation Stranglehold, so important.
Right.
They pull back the curtain and show us the complexity and the real dangers of this industry.
It's been eye-opening for sure.
It has been.
It makes you think twice about every purchase you make.
It does.
Knowing that your choices have consequences.
Yeah.
It's not just about your individual satisfaction.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a great takeaway.
Yeah.
Every purchase is a vote. By choosing authentic products, you're supporting legitimate businesses.
Right.
You're protecting yourself and others.
Yeah.
And you're sending a message that you won't tolerate this illicit trade.
Powerful stuff.
It is.
This deep dive has left me with a lot to think about. I hope our listeners feeling equally informed and empowered to take action.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap things up, what's your final thought?
I think it comes down to this: stay curious, stay vigilant, and stay informed. The more you know about this issue, the better equipped you are to navigate this increasingly complex world.
Absolutely. Well said. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of counterfeit goods.
It's been my pleasure.
Remember, every choice you make as a consumer matters. Stay informed, stay safe, and thanks for listening.
Please like this video and subscribe to our channel. For more detail, you can visit our blog website www.evergreentechtips.com.